with curly hair. You put a gel in your hair to control the curl, and it dried hard. So you had to start drying with a diffuser or a dryer, start separating some of the curls. So the way you'd get some volume was having some of those wild individual hairs standing alone and smaller clumps. And you had to like decide to stop drying at the height and the bigness that you wanted. And you still would have some dampness in the hair. But
well, what's the difference between a diffuser and a blow dryer?
You want to say? I know you do. Go ahead.
No, I'm asking you.
Well, with the blow dryer, okay. So when you're blowing with a blow dryer, it's too much forced air where it's pushing the hair around. It's just breaking it all up, and so that's the biggest problem. You're separating those clumps, as I call them, clumps of curls, clumps of hair that are all showing that curl. When that hair just blowing in the wind like a hurricane, it's just separating and separating and turning into 100 little hairs and turning into a fuzzball. The diffuser is more like just a warm, it's still a wind, it's just not as strong of a wind, right? A warm air just passing over the hair and just not blowing it all around. So yeah, actually that's a good, boy, I always think of all the details. You got to be careful not to burn up your blow dryer with a diffuser also, because you're slowing the air down. You're sort of putting a muzzle on the end of that thing, slowing the air down. So it's not cooling the engine as well. So you should be using less heat and less blow because you're slowing the blow down anyway. So it should really be on low or medium and warm instead of hot, but maybe you could do low and hot. So think about that if you're going to do that. But that diffuser, you're putting it on there and it's just creating a warm air across your head, right? But a real soft breeze instead of a hurricane winds coming across your hair. And so now you got these, some don't have it, but a lot of them have these fingers sticking out of the end of a diffuser, right? And so you use those fingers to help grab the hair. And I always say kind of go back and forth because you're kind of encouraging the curls to fold on themselves. Because if you just bend it in half, let's go back a tiny bit. You put product in your hair, it's going to weigh it down and maybe look a little less curly when you got the water and the product.
Especially if you have the heavier gels, that makes a difference.
And if it's still soaking wet. So you've got this balance of towel dry, get a lot of the moisture out, so the moisture coming out took away some of the weight. So your curls can spring back up. But now it's a matter of, do you have fine, thin hair curls or do you have thick, strong hair curls? Because finer, thinner hair is going to fall flatter. Somebody with thinner, finer, and bleached blonde hair, she could have very curly hair, but put some products in it and do a brush comb through it, the product stick in it and make it look straight. And so she doesn't even know she has curly hair. So often these girls come in for a perm, and I want to make the money, but I also want to save my reputation and sometimes just want to show how smart I am. And I'm like, you already have curly hair. No, I don't. You're just nuts. I see it in the shampoo bowl. I just shampooed your hair. You have curly hair. You just don't know how to style it. That was when I knew that I was a curly hair expert. I was like, there's so many people that have curly hair and they just don't even know it because they mess it up. They're blowing with a blow dryer straight down. Yeah. They're pushing the curl out, heating it up, basically sort of flat iron it or styling it straight. And then at the end, their hair dries and it's straight-ish, frizzy-ish. The curl's just causing some little kinky bends. And they say, you see, I don't have curly hair. I just have damaged hair. You don't even have damaged hair. It's just it looks damaged because you don't know how to style it or you're not styling it correctly. So that diffuser with the fingers can take and bend the curls back and forth and put them into the hair and push it against the head. If you want to get volume, of course, you could just do it here and leave it flat or just do it on top. But you've got to push the weight out of the hair and encourage the curl to be not weighted down by product and water, and then dry it. And then when you take your hand away, that hair will stay there, because it's there. You push it up and it'll stay with all the curls when you use the diffuser. So I find that people leaning like to the side to get the back and this side to get this back or side, throwing it all over, pushing it up towards their forehead. There's a lot of tips and tricks with just how to use a diffuser to dry the hair. And then, of course, again, it's always going to come down to how dry, that balance between.
That's what I was just about to ask you. Should it be 100% dry? Should it be just about dry?
Well, you know, you can get it like while you're doing it with a diffuser, you can get it to the size you like and the visual appearance that you like, that look that you like, right? And then don't touch it anymore, but you could continue to diffuse by putting that warm air across it and letting it dry completely. If that person, usually not, usually let them leave it, it's slightly damp and it'll dry over the next couple hours pretty easily. But some people, maybe some temperature situations or going to a wedding, or they want to be complete. And I don't know if it's complete, if it's still a little damp, you know, so you can still finish getting it dry and sneak that diffuser in a bunch of areas. And it takes longer and it takes patience. And most people, stylists of today, don't want to do it. I see it in my own salon. I'm like, that, yeah, I used a diffuser for what? To sit on? Because it doesn't look like you used it on her hair. I mean, what? Like, yeah, I use it on her hair. And God, don't even show me, because then I got to call you out on it, because it just was ridiculous. And so to me, it's like, I'm going to spend another 10 or 15, maybe 20 minutes and get her completely dry. But you know what else you can do? You can put her under a hood dryer. If you've got hood dryers in the salon, you don't even have to put it on top of the head. You know how a hood dryer is just sitting in the back, aiming forward? You can sit in front of a hood dryer and it can just blow across the back. You could have two of them. You could have those red lights for processing color just over them. Something to create some warm heat near the hair to finish drying, especially if you want to use that dryer or lamp as an assistant.